I'm Chase Sr. stepping in for Harrison Graham here on Dallas Mavericks Today. We appreciate all of you for making our coverage a part of your day, and hopefully I don't massively disappoint you. Some notes on this game last night. Nice little win there for the Mavericks over the San Antonio Spurs. Justin Holiday in his debut. Thought he played really good basketball. 15 points, 5 of 6 from 3 in that debut. 8 players scored 10 points or more as Dallas was really clicking offensively with a well-rounded approach. 142 points on the night, a season high, as it was rocking here in Dallas. Los Angeles Lakers coming up on Sunday. That's always a really good game between these two franchises, and it's a new-look Los Angeles Lakers team with the bevy of moves that they made leading up to the NBA trade deadline. As for what we're getting into on today's show, could Dallas sign Serge Ibaka? Could a Trey Young trade happen next year or in this offseason? And also some post-All-Star break storylines. Let's begin first with Serge Ibaka. Still out there on the free agency market after being bought out by the Indiana Pacers. Previously to that, he was with the Milwaukee Bucks where really he was not getting a lot of playing time. And for Dallas, not a guy who you want playing more than that 15-minute threshold, but could he come in as a seasoned veteran, an NBA champion who has a bevy of All-Star experience and a lot of experience playing in the playoffs, and just give this team some juice at that center position. This year, 2022-2023, 4+ points per game, sub-3 rebounds, 48% from the field. He can stretch the floor a little bit, but once again, you're bringing him in on what is, I believe, a better and more well-rounded roster than last year. That's not a slate on Jalen Brunson, but obviously Kyrie Irving a little bit more star power at that position, but you've had the emergence of Josh Green. Reggie Bullock is playing really well. Jaden Hardy giving this team some really solid minutes. You have Tim Hardaway Jr. coming in off the bench as Dallas last year, they had Spencer Dinwiddie kind of in that role, but I just think that the point here is that Dallas is a little bit deeper. Christian Wood, fantastic off the bench as well, and hopefully they start to get some of those reinforcements back. JaVale McGee kind of redeeming himself to a certain degree, and Serge Ibaka could add depth to this roster and bring you a seasoned veteran. And also, two important notes at the bottom of your screen that are worthy of the discussion here. Rebounding and rim protection, also big needs for a Dallas team that by trading for Kyrie Irving has been impacted a little bit defensively. Also, with some of the acquisitions that they've made, of course, trading away your boy, Dorian Finney-Smith, they were impacted a little bit defensively. So by bringing in Serge Ibaka helps fortify that defensive unit. As for Maxi Kleber, this is a great storyline for Dallas. Expected to return in the near future from hamstring and knee injuries. And we didn't think that once he tore that hamstring, there was any chance that he was going to return this year. Maxi Kleber could return. That's yet another option at that big spot. So big man options now for Jason Kidd, Dwight Powell, JaVale McGee, Christian Wood, Maxi Kleber, and Markieff Morris. Again, going back to that previous talking point, I think Dallas here, well-positioned going into the playoffs with a deeper roster. You can make the argument they have a little bit more star power, and to their advantage as well. Yes, they made it to the Western Conference Finals last year, got past the first round for the first time since 2010. The Western Conference completely wide open, in my opinion, even after the Phoenix Suns traded for Kevin Durant. So, Mavs fans, what do you think? Let us know down in the comment section. Should the Mavs sign Serge Ibaka? Why for yes and for no? Let us know. And while you venture down there, please make sure you subscribe. Harrison's been doing a great job, as well as producer Coop here, who obviously you hear from and see a lot on the show of growing this channel. Let's continue to grow here with me as the substitution. Now to Trey Young. Could Ice Trey be traded to Dallas this offseason or at some point next year? Obviously, going back to the NBA draft in which the Mavericks ended up with Luka Doncic because of that Trae Young trade. They fleeced Atlanta, in my opinion, came out with a better player. Legendary in the course of NBA history. His numbers up to this point for Luka, on par, very similar to LeBron James. Trae Young, a solid player. He's not on the ilk with Luka Doncic, but could they reunite? Obviously, they've been forever linked, going all the way back to the 2018 draft when they were traded for each other. As I said, they played in the Rising Stars game, one conference finals appearance each. For the Mavericks, it was last year. For the Atlanta Hawks, it was back a couple of years ago when they took down the Sixers in the second round in that surprise series after taking down the Knicks in the first round. Friends off the court, despite that trade, and could they be future teammates? Now, Trey Young, getting buckets, not a problem. Defense, massive concern. Is he a good assist man? I'd actually say that the numbers indicate that he is, but I'd say that he's not a great passer. The on-court pairing with him and DeJounte Murray been a little bit choppy. Nate McMillan fired. And this year, after a really good year of stroking the three last year, only 32% from downtown, 43% from the field. Those numbers not good. Are the 27 and 10 solid figures? For sure, but the efficiency not there. Now, the Mavericks are being thrown into this conversation because here are the odds, according to BetUS, for Trey Young's next team if the Hawks look to blow it up a little bit. Miami Heat plus 400. That's interesting. Chicago Bulls at plus 500. Mavericks checking in at 6-1 odds. Clippers plus 700 to go along with the Los Angeles Lakers. If the Mavs do not re-sign Kyrie Irving, which isn't set in stone because his contract is due to expire after this year, I still think that he could team back up with LeBron James at a place like Los Angeles. Trey Young could be an option via the trade market. Now, trading for Young would be extremely complicated, though, in that same tone, given the Mavs' lack of assets. They gave up some of those assets for Kyrie Irving, and this is a move that Harrison and Coop were talking about at the time in that acquisition of Kyrie Irving. You're putting your poker chips, literally, in the middle of the table. And Mark Cuban is saying, we are going all in this year, knowing that Kyrie Irving didn't agree to a contract extension at the time with the Mavs or with the Brooklyn Nets, and he is going to be a free agent after this year. And I don't mind how he played down the discussions of that contract, saying, I just want to focus on basketball, but he didn't flat out come out and say, I am committed to this franchise. Now, don't you want to play with Luka Doncic, and doesn't that give you one of the best opportunities to chase that NBA championship, which would be his second? For sure. But with Kyrie Irving, you never know what the hell is going on in between the ears. Just spitting facts. Should the Mavs trade for Trae Young? Controversial topic among some, but give me a T for trade or a P for pass. And as I said, those those Trae Young trade odds if Kyrie Irving were to leave, all on the BetUS site. Head to chatsports.com/MFFL. 125% deposit bonus. You put in $100, you get $125 back. That's $225 to game with. As I said off the top of the show, some post-All-Star break storylines that we just want to canvas here because nobody knows this team better than producer Coop here. Maxi Kleber's return. Huge for this team. Gives you that aforementioned bulk at that forward/center role. And let's be real. I mean, in the playoffs last year, when he was knocking down some shots from downtown, he gave a different element to this Mavericks offense that they desperately needed. And he showed some intestinal fortitude, in my opinion, because in the regular season, he was not good. Christian Wood's role, what is it going to be? We've seen on some nights, this guy is special, man. He can put the ball on the floor. He can throw it down around the rim. He can throw down with guys on the low block, but also has that sweet elbow jumper, the baseline jumper. He can stretch it out to beyond the arc. Not a great defensive player by any means. And that's why we're talking about Kleber's return. That's why we're talking about Serge Ibaka. And his numbers have certainly gone down a little bit because his role has changed a little bit, and he'd probably like to see it a little bit more glorified. But still, this guy can be a walking bucket at that stretch 4 position, play a little 5 if you want to take a hit on that defense. Sub 18 points per game, 8 rebounds, but you look at the numbers here, nearly 53% from the floor, 37.5% from beyond the arc with volume there. With the trade of Kyrie, so far so good. Coop, I imagine you would agree, right? You've been really impressed with what you've seen from Luka and Kyrie. Can they have that continued continuity as well as that chemistry? And with the starting 5 in the bench rotation, what is it going to be? Jason Kidd pretty much alluded to this. It's going to be a little bit of experiment because we're tinkering with our starting lineup, and thus, because we are messing around with that starting 5, which I like right now, also, it's going to be a little bit of a difference with our bench unit, considering the trade of Dodo as well as the trade of Spencer Dinwiddie. Now, again, I like the depth on this team a little bit more than last year, and we were talking in the office yesterday. I thought Marshall Green made a good point, host of Knicks Now. Reggie Bullock is a huge key for this team. And speaking of Bullock, can the Mavs play defense? That's why he's key in the starting 5 and amidst this rotation. Defensively, but also if he's knocking down threes it just elevates this Mavericks offense profoundly. So a lot of pressure on him to continue to play good basketball. Last question of the day. Will the Mavs make the playoffs? 1 for playoffs, 2 for play-in, 3 for the lottery. The thing about the West, it's wide open. It's also closely contested. So, a couple of games really does change where the Mavs could be in the playoff standings. All right, I hope you don't hate me too much. I hope that you were fine with what I did. Had a little bit of a brain fart there with Dodo, but I love him. So too does producer Coop. Hopefully you forgave me and you enjoyed today's show. Don't forget to subscribe if that's the case and join the conversation down in the comment section.